All right, you know, Detroit looking to land Amazon, and Apple wants me to spend what? Much more. It's time for headlines. All right, a lot of news out there this week, but I want to start with this one headline that I saw, and it said, a memo to civic leaders, don't sell out your cities for Amazon's new headquarters. And that was a headline in the LA Times, which gets us to talking about and thinking about Detroit's concerted effort to try to land that Amazon headquarters, which would be, what, 50,000 jobs, $5 billion investment.
It would transform.
It would transform anywhere.
Overnight.
But should, you know, the short list or people, you know, pundits coming out and saying, well, it's probably going to be Atlanta, Toronto, Denver. Yeah. Detroit didn't make any of those preliminary lists of places.
Made the very first list, but not any of the cuts.
Go. Yeah. Right. So let me ask you this. Is it worth it for Detroit to come up with a big proposal or to band together? And we saw today that Dan Gilbert's going to be the one Duggan's tapped to say, let's regionally get everybody together to talk about this.
And here's why it's worth it. You may not get this one, but now you've got an infrastructure in place to go after the next one that might not be so big. I'm not sure Detroit could absorb that sort of job creation with the talent pool it has, but it's something to strive for. I mean, this would be a huge face changer for the city, for, as Steve said, for any city that gets it. Those are really great jobs, the kind of jobs the auto industry used to provide in its heyday here. And I mean, you've got to go after it. If you think you have a hint of a chance, you've got to go after it. And it sets you up. You know, you may not get to Super Bowl the first time you go out, but maybe you get the Final Four. You know?
And you wonder though, if you know, Amazon, they put out these different parameters for what a city should have, and you wonder if you're really going to have transit all set up around the vacant land area that they want the scope of it to be able to do.
Yeah, maybe not. So I think for our region, one of the smart plays might have been to say, okay, maybe Detroit doesn't have all these things that you want, but if you make it a Detroit-Ann Arbor pitch and put it somewhere between the two, we probably look a little
regional cooperation.
And we probably look a little better. We probably come out a little better because of the strong, you know, job growth and educational attainment levels.
City that would.
I mean, Ann Arbor is doing really well. They already got Google has an office there already. The other thing, though, I think that would come from this exercise, I hope, is a real sort of sober self-assessment of the things that we're not doing right and that we're not investing in, as a way to say, well, here's why we didn't get Amazon. And so for the next pitch, let's make sure we have a couple more of these things in place. That 39% college graduation rate among adults in the state gets lower when you talk about Detroit or other urban centers. We got to move those numbers up.
Although a company like this, a project like this, would draw a lot of talent in from other states.
Of course,
but you do have to have a pool of ready workers for when these companies.
They want that,
and I think that's been the governor's focus. I think what we're pushing for. The culture here has sort of worked against creating that. It's not a high education culture in the state.
Well, and it's not a high investment state in higher ed. I mean, we're still spending as much as we did in 2010-11 on higher ed. We're slipping down the ranks of other states who are really investing in higher ed because they know they need an educated workforce. But that's a harder sell.
We still have some great universities, and we still have people saying, yeah, I'm not so sure about college.
Does it also bring in, though, the conversation about incentives? In this article that I read in the LA Times, it's like, look, this is Amazon, this is like Foxconn. They're just trying to get the maximum amount of incentive from a state and looking for someone like Wisconsin to give away everything in the world.
$3 billion?
Yeah, to land.
What are we capable of doing? I don't think we're capable of putting together a $3 billion package.
Well, we should.
And we shouldn't, because you shouldn't be buying jobs. You should be able to sell yourself on these projects by the attractiveness of your state and your community.
All right, what did you see, Stephen? You and Nolan were talking about, well, we both had the same headline, you said.
We did. We both saw the deal between President Trump and Democrats, the second one in a week, this time to try to get permanent legislation for Dreamers, and it's unclear. The president's sort of saying, well, I don't know if I agreed to that, but then he's sort of outlining the thing, and it sounds exactly like what
he agreed to,
talking about. But I guess it would get a permanent some sort of permanent status for Dreamers. But the question is about his wall, whether that would be sacrificed in the deal.
Listen to what he said about the wall in his tweet, and it's very nuanced. He's not talking now about that 50-foot barrier. He's talking about expanding and reinforcing existing structures and that. But there will be a wall, but the wall may not look like a wall. You know, my big question here is, who kidnapped the real Donald Trump, and what is it going to cost?
You've got a conspiracy theory about what's happening.
I think the stand-in Donald Trump, the body double, is a whole different character. You saw now twice over the last 2 weeks him sitting down with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who he's absolutely vilified since January, and coming away with deals on tough issues that have bedeviled past presidents and past Congresses, and you have now no tweets of any sort of offensiveness in the last week or two. I think you might be seeing Trump, or I hope you're seeing Trump, you never know, in a post-Steve Bannon world. I think Bannon applied pressure to appeal constantly to the base.
Of course,
it is interesting, but I think it's also a Trump in a world that he just wants a win. And he wants the word win attached to his
and if the Republicans
name.
won't give it to him, because I think before this, if you watch what was happening, before he started sweet-talking Chuck and Nancy, he started trash-talking Mitch and Paul. And so there was that steady build-up to this point where, come on over for dinner, guys.
That's interesting.
No, I mean, the one caveat here is I think this is an unstable personality, and this doesn't break with that assessment. This sort of reinforces it, right? He's all over the place and willing to do anything.
And that's what I think makes it hard for people to govern.
Turn those lemons into lemonades.
We try. We try. All right, here's the last headline for you. I saw in USA Today. Here's how Apple wants you to spend your next $999. So are you going to buy an iPhone X?
I bet this guy does.
No,
I bet he does.
I already spent, you know, they're making this out to be a big deal. The last iPhone I bought was $850-some, the 6S. So there's not that much.
Do you have a 20 I can borrow? I mean, what's happening
I got
here?
a jitterbug flip phone.
I don't know. I work for PBS, Stephen. I don't know where you work.
I like technology.
Every
I
new
do like
piece of
gadgets.
technology.
I do like gadgets.
He is the
this
ultimate
one, but
Apple
we'll see.
customer.
I really am. I have many Apple products in the house.
His head is going to look like
It's going to be bought and paid for. But I think it's really interesting that people can go, oh, it's ridiculous, but then there'll be the next ones in line.
What's
that they're
it
gonna
do?
The new one that supposedly has facial recognition is the big.
So instead of using your,
your thumb, it'll see you and know to turn on.
For $1,000, I'm going to want it to get up and make me supper.
The phones have been,
these
phones have been expensive for a good long time. Yeah. It's just that people pay for them.
I know. Where's our
threshold?
Where's our threshold for paying, though? I would say $1,000 would be it.
We'll see.